Welcome into another Inside Carolina Inside the Lines. I'm Tommy Ashley. That's Grace Nugent. We are sponsored by Johnny T-Shirt. Of course, we're still in Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Of course, we're here to talk about another North Carolina win, 7-5 over Florida State in a classic ACC Tournament game, Grace.
Oh, I mean, my heart was pounding. The score, the win projectability of who was going to win just went back and forth. It was like a little mountain range. This was everything you wanted out of not just an ACC Tournament game, but a game at this point right before you go into the regionals. North Carolina literally a week ago was in Tallahassee facing this same lineup, and they weren't able to get it done on that Saturday against starter Wes Mendez. But tonight, they closed it out 7-5 with 2 runs in the 9th inning to give them the victory.
I thought it was interesting how both coaches wanted to make sure they got their third starter work. So Joey Vellini pitched for Florida State. Aiden Houck also pitched for North Carolina. But it came down to a freshman in the bottom of the 9th, and we'll work backwards a little bit. But Walker McDuffie comes in to face arguably, I believe, the best 2, 3, 4 hitters in the country in Lodies, Williams, and Bailey. Bailey already had a home run off of DeCaro early in the game. Walker McDuffie, I have a feeling for the next 3 years here at North Carolina, we're going to be saying Walker McDuffie doing Walker McDuffie things.
Walker McDuffie is transforming into like this year's version of Dalton Pence. They're different, duh, but one of them has glasses and one of them just looks really scary on the mound. But Walker McDuffie came and he just totally shut down, like you said, and I totally agree, the best 2, 3, and 4 in the country. Alex Lodice is probably going to be National Player of the Year. Miles Bailey has star written all over him. He's only a freshman. Yesterday, he cranked a ball 118 off the bat. And then Williams has been showing up in the clutch for them. I mean, he's probably their biggest clutch gene guy all season. And so for Walker to shut them down, something that North Carolina couldn't do last Saturday, that was huge. And I don't think it just propels them to the ACC championship, but it also gives them the confidence that they can close out the tough games. And as we saw last postseason, even when they're not at the Bosch, they need the ability to do that.
Absolutely. He sort of pitched around Bailey a little bit, some questionable calls there, got Kyle Fisher to pop out to end the inning in the ball game. But for North Carolina to get there, we've talked all year about the small things. Carolina executes the small things. Bunting was a problem earlier in the season. Coach Forbes talked about it in a press conference here. Perry Hargett talked about it in a press conference. He said, and I quote, "It was bad." Madera gets on by Era. Hargett executes a great bunt, puts Miles Bailey in the blender. Her first base is not covered. Hargett reaches Madera to second, and then Carter French executes it. Another sack bunt to get second and third, and then Kane Kepley just comes through in the clutch.
I mean, I believe it was a slider right in the middle of the plate, and Kane hammered it off Vellini. I think it was still Vellini at that point.
It was Holtz, I think.
It was Holtz. He hammered it straight to the middle of the field, just like a classic Kane Kepley hit. And that scored them both, and that was the ball game. But just the ability, Carter did this multiple times today, moving those runners over. That is big. I think people will kind of like overlook him in the box score, but that is huge. He's just stepped up and done that, it seems like, all series and since he's been in this lineup. And then for Perry to get that down, and we know he has the speed to leg it out, just a perfectly placed bunt. And again, we keep mentioning last season, but we know how important bunts are, especially in situations like this. And then, I mean, the rest of the offense, they were able to get these Florida State pitchers and put them in pressure situations and capitalize. Link Jarrett, Florida State's head coach, said that in the post-game presser, that his team didn't execute as many secondary pitches, and UNC capitalized on those, not as great secondary pitches, whereas the UNC pitching staff was able to execute those, and Walker just showed that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carolina gets work done on the ACC Semifinals, faces Clemson. Interesting enough, and this is one reason I do not like the new ACC, Carolina hadn't played Clemson all year. So they'll face a team that they have not played. Coach Forbes talked about how he hopes his players can sleep because the coaches will not, preparing for the Clemson Tigers. Grace, what can you tell all the people watching this about the Clemson Tigers and what to expect tomorrow here at noon?
Well, I mean, they showed it off today, and if you haven't watched the rest of the ACC tournament, especially preparing for tomorrow, if you still want to stay up and watch more baseball, their game against NC State was kind of like the one tonight. It was just a classic. It was back and forth, and it was back and forth, and I've been here for all of Clemson's games, and they have the power. They have the ability to come up in the clutch. Their catcher, Jacob Jarrell, JJ, he has 2 homers already. He hit a massive grand slam today to not only give Clemson the lead at the time against the number 1 seeded Georgia Tech, but to eventually give them the victory. They're able to step up. They have some really good relief pitching. They have a sidewinder. I love a good sidewinder. That'll be fun to watch. Or submariner, depending on where his arm slot is. He can actually move his arm slot. Very interesting. But who knows? It'll be really interesting to see. Both of these teams are kind of a little bit out of arms, especially Clemson, because they've had to play an extra game because I believe they came in as the 5 seed. And so they've had one more game they have to play. And then UNC today, they used Jason, they used Aiden, they used Walker, they used Folger for one batter, so he may be able to come back. And Forbes said that both Jason and Aiden are going to try to get in there tomorrow. But it'll be really interesting to see who both of these teams throw. I think it could be a higher scoring game just due to that fact, but it will definitely be a heavyweight battle for sure.
Absolutely. The environment today was unbelievable. Florida State fans travel. Clemson fans will travel too. If you're a North Carolina fan, get out to the Deep App. Support the Tar Heels. Support college baseball. You cannot ask for a better environment here in Durham Bulls Park. College baseball is legit. It's the postseason. And tomorrow at noon, right here behind us, the ACC Championship, Carolina versus Clemson. Stay tuned to Inside Carolina. Grace Nugent, Adam Smith, myself, Jim Hawkins taking all the photos for all the coverage of North Carolina Tar Heels baseball. And go to Johnny T-shirt and get your jerseys if you need it.